Let's go, 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 go. Good afternoon, friends and colleagues. This is Sharon Herbert. It is Monday, and a Monday is what? Nurse's Life. So thank you for joining us directly from Power in Nursing Innovations. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm so excited, as always, to speak with you and share and care each and every Monday. So thank you for joining us. And if you have questions or comments, please feel free to share them. And we're going to get started right away. Today's topic and the subject, of course, is you. Today's topic is about leadership. Every nurse can be a leader, no matter what they look like. This is part one of overcoming barriers to leadership for minority nurses in healthcare. Fast forwarding, this was the topic of my dissertation. So let's start right away. Right away. Want to introduce you. Today, the subject is about overcoming challenges for minority nurses in the leadership scope. Just take a moment. Think for yourself. Well, what does she mean by that? Well, just think. We're going to use our reference as more or larger systems, healthcare systems in the United States. So what are we looking at? Simply, what does nursing leadership look like across the United States? Who are nurse leaders? Simply, as we've started talking about nursing in color, it is, what do the organizations look like? What do the leaders look like? And what do the staff look like? And how do we reference how that appears to you, to your organizations, to the public, to the future of healthcare, to the community, and how they identify the service in their organizations or in their locations? It's really all wrapped up in the same. But you have to turn the light on to be able to see and care for any of what we're about to put out on the table. Remember, I did mention to you that yes, I chose my doctoral dissertation on this topic as a personal and professional matter to me and to my colleagues. You know, we do things for people all the time. You just have to think sometimes about yourself, your community, your colleagues, the future of those that you serve. How does what you do or what you see or what you think change the perspective of any conversation? And any conversation perspective can lead to discussion, research, revelation. Oh, we can do a lot with just talking and thinking about the things that we see. And what we care about really prompts us to consider change. Now, change, as we talked about yesterday, change is about mindset. And you all know, when nothing concerns you or a thing doesn't concern you, You're not really interested in what's going on, why, what, where, when. You just say, I don't really care about that. And you don't really desire or get started to make a change. Today, and really post-COVID, the world is in need of a number of changes. Healthcare has been kind of swept under the rug for the fact that folks in the world and the community don't really know what it is that we do, why we do it, if we can do it better, if it has been better before, or if it is now worse. So they're just struggling and looking and, whoa, what's going on? So you all have the opportunity to look at what's going on in your place and space and reflect on some things. As I talked yesterday about looking forward, we don't want to remain in the past, but we must consider some of the past transactions or even transgressions to move forward and make positive change. So as we're doing that, still, we're going to reference those T's in a bit, but we're addressing barriers today to leadership for minority nurses in health organizations. Because short version of the long story is many of you have seen in your organizations some programs implemented to help unscramble who's being seen by who, when, where, why, if we're understanding each other and able to help each other, whether it's providers, patients, colleagues, caregivers. Do we all understand each other and how to have a best outcome in any given scenario? That means we have to understand each other. Yes? Do you believe that that is true? Communication is a challenge. And the last time I took a look around the world, going to the grocery store, and it doesn't even really matter where you're going. Most often, you'll encounter someone who is a bit different from you, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a beating heart and breathing through their lungs. Their brain is functioning. They're walking. We are people, no matter what we look like. We are people. And there is no necessity, as far as I have ever encountered, and of course, I'll let you know, I don't know everything. So I'm sharing what I've encountered. I haven't been in a place or space where everyone else was exactly like me. The same height, the same weight, the same hair type, skin color. No. So we have to reflect on the seasons that we're in. Yes, the seasons that we're in our own personal and professional lives. What experiences that we have encountered may reflect where we are now and where we may be in the future. So that's really just information. Just thinking back to, I've never been in a place where people are exactly like me. And sometimes you have to make a shift and remembering and reminding yourself that, we are all people. So we must consider the importance, and it really is importance of diversity and inclusivity in the places where we go, and even in the workplace. We all have different little, as I say, different little quirks that If I meet someone who hasn't known me before and I say to them, well, Jimmy Crackhorn, they'll, they'll say, well, what does she mean? What is she talking about? Well, that's in the grocery store, even in your home, in the schools. People don't know you. And so you may find that you don't know others. But that gives you a chance to open your mind. Open your mind and think, okay, well, this might be something a little different, but I'm still on Earth. I'm not on the moon. I encounter people who have blood rushing through their veins and hearts that pump as well. I don't need to know what their shoe size is. I don't need to know that in order to greet them and say good morning. And good morning comes with a smile. So, in our organizations, because of many, many, many years and decades and centuries of encountering different persons, we have to decide how we will work with that. Not saying that you must have that person be the same as you, but giving your own self the agreement to be open to sharing and caring. You have to let your mind control what your body says as far as the words that come from your mouth and the smile that is encountered on your face. It's really easy to do that, but it may not be what you're used to, or it may be something that's been shared with you from others who have not prepared themselves for any time, place, or space where they may be with other people. Other people, different weight, different height, different size, different color, different thoughts, different perspective. Let's consider that. And it reflects as well on your patients in the workplace and in your colleagues. You must give yourself that open mind. And it can be a challenge. And over the course of the last few years, I think some of you would agree that you've seen the implementation of a diversity challenge or even a new role. Diversity manager or diversity program manager. Lots of things about diversity. The statistics on demographic compositions of healthcare, even in the U.S., a lot is based on the location of the providers. Doesn't even really describe what people look like, and it's not always necessary that you look a certain way to be a nurse, to be a registered nurse with the education, experience, and expertise, remember those 3 E's, requires you to have licensure to practice. And no one asks you what color you are. Now, you might hear, what is your race or what is your background? That doesn't always describe your physical appearance. Really? Really? And so, as nurses are chosen for any particular role, that should be based on the work that they are able to do. Now, if you're applying to be a singer or a dancer, You will be chosen because you can sing, or you will be chosen because you can dance. Did anyone ask you if you're blue, purple, green, or yellow? No. So the same comes with leadership. For nursing, it is important that nurse leaders are open-minded, open to the staff that they work with, as well as the staff on units, and if you're a CNO, it's staff on each and every unit. Understanding the roles of the staff, the demographics of the patients and clients that you see in your organization. That might include languages. It might include the colors of your hair. It might include the color of the clothes that you wear. It might include what you eat and a number of things. It may be reflective in what you would seek from a role and position of a nurse leader. Ability to be open-minded when you are serving and caring for others. Now, that nursing workforce, even beside the nurse leader, will be caring for, speaking to, and meeting and greeting patients of care and color from different places. The nurse leader needs to be one who can shift. Everyone is not like you, and everyone will not be like you. But know this as well. As you change or make changes in your organizations, those persons who are in leadership roles won't live forever. They won't live forever. And they won't be at work every day forever. There are going to be some changes. And, okay, it's time for raise your hand. Who has been a student in a leadership course, even way back in nursing school? Even if you decided last week, last month, that you wanted to be certified, or you wanted to know more about the challenges of nursing leadership, because nurse leaders will meet people from all over the country, different states, different demographics, different locations within the state, whether they are rural or southeast persons. If you go to Puerto Rico, there's Spanish-speaking persons in that area, and we don't expect that you will be the master of everything. But it's time as a leader that you choose, again, to expand the breadth of the information that you possess. So, that's a thing you must consider. What's the cultural breakdown? If you go to Boston, if I go to Boston, I will speak the way that I've spoken in New York. I will walk fast, like I walked in New York. When I went to London, people were looking like, why is that lady walking so fast? And it didn't come to my attention until I went back to school. And some of my colleagues, I went to school in Virginia, and I was from New York. I walked fast, and when I went back to some events, I was like, oh yeah, I spent my long time in going to nursing school, and our classes were at 8 o'clock, and the nursing building was the last building on the campus, the furthest away from my place of residence during school. And people say, you know what? Yeah, you're that lady who walked so fast down from the cafeteria to the nursing building. And some people will even say, I did not know your name, but I remember your face. And so I still get that when I go back to homecoming and to some other class meetings. And that's who or how I can partially describe myself, but it doesn't make me like other folks less because they didn't walk fast or they didn't talk like I talked in New York. And when I met or went to visit my family in Boston and they talked about cars, I was like, what are they talking about? But it took some time. But you have to be open to change. And as we have different clients, patients, colleagues in the healthcare system, it is important for nurse leaders to find their way into the leadership roles that can help serve the community. If you are in a community, working in a community that serves folks of Latino descent, it makes sense for you to make your way to understanding each person. Because each person, remember, they're not the same. And that leads to, of course, also looking around. You have staff that have gifts. Gifts, and more gifts. Gifts that they may not have shared most often. But, yeah, this might have been some few years ago, absolutely, that we looked to our colleagues for understanding the culture of some of our clients. And that was important because in times of stress, when folks come to the hospital, whether it's in the ER, new admission, or their loved one is admitted to the hospital, they are stressed. They don't know what you're talking about or the doctor's talking about when you come up with these multisyllabic diagnoses. They don't know. And sometimes the anxiety just puts them at a pause. And it doesn't mean that we must rely on each of our own colleagues to fill the gaps. But know that it is important for organizations to employ staff who can bridge some of those gaps. If none of the nurse leaders in your organization have any idea about cultural differences or translating languages to share appropriate messages with clarity, that's a problem. That's a problem. And in addition, where does this leave the minority staff who are working on your unit? How do you talk with your staff if you haven't taken a step or never even thought about taking a step to connect with your staff? You have staff who are brilliant, and they make it their business to be their best selves in their practice each and every day. How do you connect with them when they have anxiety, when they are stressed because their patient or their loved one is in a place that communication is very stressed? How do you connect with them? We can do it a whole lot better by engaging our own staff. Our own staff. They can be a real blessing to a leader who is dealing with a mom who has a sick baby in the NICU. Absolutely. Or a sick loved one of one of their staff members, a sick loved one. To understand some of the cultural barriers and cultural beings that people eat differently, people sleep differently, people pray differently. We need to know that. And we need to encourage our own staffs to prepare themselves for the future. Now, there's a few ways to manage that, but what is the, how does it feel, or what does it look like to have your masters and doctorally prepared staff working at the bedside over a number of years, and here their leader has not made a move to learn anything new? That goes for color, race, creed, religion, any of those things. We can work together to fill that pot with those treasures from our treasure chest. And your minority staff may face barriers to keep them right at that bedside because they don't want to get in the mix of that old ugly pot that keeps minority nurses and health providers just at that bedside. Just at that bedside. They don't want to get in the midst of bias or challenges with being turned down for an application that they knew they were qualified for, but weren't chosen. Those biases and stereotypes in the workplace can lead to your staff just backing up. Backing up, I'm going to do my tasks and go home. Don't want to be called any names out loud or under the cover. Because I've had that experience. I'll tell you, I've had that experience. And it led me to pick up my pieces in my treasure chest and go to a place and space that I could create to use the gifts that I was given. Choose the gifts. I know how to work with young mothers, minority mothers who are challenged with a sick infant. It is not easy. And I know what it's like to be a patient in the ICU or in the ER where people are talking quietly in the area right at the end of your bed about things that they don't believe you may know or understand. Yeah, who knew that, yes, I was a nurse, a master's prepared nurse, as the physicians were talking about what they would do next or what I needed next, not asking me what I knew or thought or if I had any questions. This unconscious bias, it spreads quickly and it spreads far and wide. That's really called discrimination, and some of you may heard of microaggressions. People look at you a different way. People don't pay attention to what you are saying during rounds because you couldn't possibly know anything because we didn't ask you. So you couldn't possibly know anything. Take a look. Take a look at your organizations when you return. Take a look at your space. Take a look at your wall of administrators, long wall, hallway, near human resources is most of the time where those lovely pictures are kept. Each of us comes from somewhere that has not been just a nebulous place on the earth or out of the earth. We know some things that can help somewhere else, but people are facing barriers where they don't want to be bothered, really just don't want to be bothered with being told that they're not enough and not good enough. We must overcome even the body language, the faces. What do you want me to say? Michelle Obama faced those same things. And it took her a long time to break out, to share the best of who she was. Because no one wants to be told or shown that they're not good enough or that they are not a good fit. Now, if you've had a great performance on the clinical side for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and you then decide, well, I'm ready to take this next step and apply for a leadership position, and you're told that you are not a good fit. Now, I don't know if anyone has ever heard that before, but I'm going to make that your homework. So, unconscious bias is so impactful. It impacts your staff's even decision to make a new step or a next step. They don't want to make decisions because they don't want to be turned down for something that they've been doing. They could take charge when the manager was out, but now when they're ready to take that next step, you're telling them they're not the right person. And you're never really going to tell them why. You won't share that with them. And you know why. You must recognize that unconscious bias that is brewing. Could be in the C-suite, could be in the staff meeting. If that's a part of your organization, you need to recognize it. As even I speak of pain when I'm coaching for nursing staff, it's the same. You must acknowledge what's going on and then take the steps to make a change. It's not overnight. Your first thing is acknowledge your pain. Acknowledge the pain that you are causing others. as well. Unconscious bias, it's not news. If you look it up, Johnson & Johnson, minority nurses, American Nurses Association will tell and show you the representation of minority nurse leadership in the U.S. in large healthcare organizations versus the non-minority leadership in those places and spaces where even minority clients are often served. It's a numbers game. Yes, it's a numbers game. But encourage your staff to understand that you are on their side. You are on their side. You can wish them happy birthday. You can say hello in the hallway or if you meet them at the library. You are a real person, and so are they. Be encouraged to inspire your staff to lead as well. Inspire them to be leaders. Act as a role model for the folks who are coming next, because you won't be there forever. Show them the way to help others grow and to solve problems. It's not going to be easy. Life isn't always easy. But help them to not be afraid to take a step to their next rung on the leadership ladder. We've all got to do it. We've all got to do it. Your staff relies on you to help them grow and to promote new staff, new grads coming your way, and the future of nursing. We thank you always so much for joining us. Remember, this is part 1. We have made 2 steps along the rung of our conversation. We talked about diversity. Yes. And, what's next? Diversity is what's next. Unconscious bias. We'll talk more next Monday on Monday Nurses Life. So remember, our goal is to encourage each and every nurse to take a spot on the leadership rung. Pick one. Leadership is for each and every nurse. Simply guiding the code, guiding the decision to be able to admit or accept new persons to your unit. Leadership is not just all about being in the C-suite. Leadership affects the staff and the clients, and so many more ways leadership defines our practice. Now, give yourself a rah-rah. We'll talk more about leadership and involving each and every nurse of every creed, color, whatever race, to pull out their gifts from their treasure chest and pick one. Pick one that you will decide to use to move forward to your next step to becoming a leader in your organization. If you can do scheduling, you can be a leader. If you can look at days off or vacation time, you can be a leader. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Next Monday on Monday Nurse's Life. Leadership can change your life, and even just the road or the thought. Remember, there are folks here to help you on your journey each and every step. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon at Monday Nurse's Life.